Nobody wants to be forgotten. That's why so many people write diaries or create works of art. But for millions of people in the Generation X cohort, those of us aged between 40 and 55, we are facing a situation where we are being forgotten, and that is with regards to our pensions. As a Generation Xer, and I won't tell you where on that age spectrum I sit, I'm doubly affected because I'm a woman and I'm a Gen Xer. Firstly, let's consider the fact that I'm a woman. Even though pay parity has been law in this country since the 1970s, the situation is that there is still a gender pay gap. In many cases, it's 13, 18, even 21%. And although action is now being taken to remedy this, 40-something years after the legislation was passed, that means for the past 40 years, women who have been earning and paying into a pension have not been able to put aside as much as their male counterparts, nor have their employers been putting in as much. Consider this. A woman also takes time off for maternity leave. Yes, being a mother is a lifestyle choice. However, having an employer who might not choose to put in any contributions while the woman's on maternity leave, although many employers do, and thank you to those who do, it means that the pension does not accrue while the woman is on maternity leave. Moreover, if she cannot afford to play catch up afterwards and put in additional contributions from her own salary, she is left with a huge gap. Figures this year from Direct Line Insurance have found that £3.2 billion in aggregate is the amount that women on maternity have lost this year in terms of their pension savings. 3.2 billion, that's just this year. And this year being a COVID year means women have also been on furlough or taking reduced hours, for reduced pay, of course. And where does that leave the millions of women who are also entrepreneurial or self-employed, having to take money out of their business to pay their own bills, to pay their own mortgages, let alone their own pensions? Add to this the situation where women are predominantly the primary caregivers. Now, Generation X sits very sensitively in the middle of this. This is why we're often called the sandwich generation, as well as the forgotten generation, or the so-called squeezed middle. We middle-aged people care for our elderly parents, and we care for our young children. We have responsibilities at either end of the age spectrum. That means that a lot of our money or our free cash or our leftover money that we could be perhaps putting into ISAs or into other savings pots goes towards our children or goes towards helping our parents' long-term care needs. So where does that leave us? It leaves us with policymakers having to face the situation that women particularly need extra help. Those who've taken on caring responsibilities need extra help. Yes, tax breaks, tax reliefs are great, but it only goes so far in helping to rectify the huge sweeping imbalance that has been created as a result of so many different socioeconomic factors, not least COVID, not least the gender pay gap. All of these things have combined to create a perfect storm affecting women aged 40 to 55. For those just about to retire at 55, they're facing a double sting because COVID may well have wiped out a significant amount of their pension value. So do they stay in work? Do they decide not to take their pension? These questions become even more pertinent the older we get, and we cannot sit back and do nothing. We must encourage policymakers to do more, particularly to help those at the lowest end of the pay spectrum, the least likely to have been putting aside enough into their pensions. We all know from years and years of actuarial assumptions that women live longer than men. Our money must go further. But unfortunately, it is like too little butter spread out over too much bread. Sooner or later, the funds are going to dry up. I am Simoney Kyriakou, editor of Financial Advisor, and I am one of the forgotten generation. Please, do something to help Generation X, because our pension hoods rely on it.